Yuri Chikatilo is the son of Russia's most notorious killer, Andrei Chikatilo. Andrei was an active serial killer and cannibal between the years of 1978 and 1990. During this time, approximately 53 people fell victim to the hands of Chikatilo. The victims' ages ranged between 9 and 45 years old and was a mix of both men and women. Chikatilo would confess to his crimes in excruciating detail years later. On February 14, 1994, Andrei was executed in Novocherkassk prison by a single bullet behind his right ear. But before any of that, Andrei had an arranged marriage to a woman named Feodosia. He would later go on to have 2 children with Feodosia, the first being a girl named Lyudmila. 4 years later, in 1969, they would go and have a second child, this time a boy named Yuri. Growing up with a serial killer for a father was very traumatizing for young Yuri. Some may ask, does the apple fall far from the tree? Well, in 2009, Yuri was arrested for attempted murder. The incident took place with Yuri and his close friends having a business meeting. The friend went to the bathroom, and Yuri followed closely behind, knife at hand, and proceeded to stab the man. Luckily, the man lived, and Yuri was arrested on attempted murder. Joseph Kallinger was an American serial killer between the years of 1974 and 1975, with the help from his 15-year-old son, Michael. At an early age, Joseph was given up for adoption after his father left his mother and could no longer afford to take care of the boy. After being placed into foster care, he was soon adopted by Stephen and Anna Kallinger. Joseph was abused by both his foster parents, some of their methods of abuse involving the boy consuming his own excrement, kneeling on jagged rocks, forced self-mutilation, being locked in a closet, and starved. Sadly, the abuse did not just end at home. When he was 9 years old, he was sexually abused by a group of neighborhood boys. Joseph was married on April 20th, 1957, and he and his wife would soon come to have 5 children of their own, all of whom would be abused by Joseph. He made sure to inflict many of the same exact torture he endured as a child to his own family. In 1972, Joseph was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia after a few of his children went to the police, fed up with the abuse they were suffering. While he was detained, they conducted an IQ test on him. His score was a low 80, which is about 20 points lower than the average person. 2 years later, one of Joseph's sons was found dead in an abandoned building, shortly after Kallinger had taken life insurance policies on his sons. In July 1974, Joseph and his 15-year-old son, Michael, would begin their body crime spree. They would go to homes pretending to be salesmen, and once let inside, they would hold the families at gunpoint. Tying them up, they would beat, sexually assault, and eventually rob them. They did this to 4 families, and 3 of the people from those families were murdered by the duo. During one of these home invasions, Maria Fasching walked into the house and was grabbed by Joseph and his son, the pair slitting her throat. While this took place, one of the family members managed to untie himself and ran to a neighbor, proceeding to call the police. The police unfortunately didn't come in time, as the Kallingers escaped using the city bus as transportation, dumping their clothes and weapons along the way. Their crime spree lasted a total of 6 weeks before being apprehended by the police. They were caught after the police found their bloody clothes and an eyewitness claiming to see both Kallingers committing the crimes. They were charged with rape and the murders of 3 people. Joseph tried pleading insanity, telling the court that God told him to commit these crimes. He was deemed sane and sentenced to life in prison. Michael Kallinger was believed to be under the control of his father and was sentenced to a reformatory, where he would stay until he was 21 years old. Joseph Kallinger died in 1996 due to heart failure. Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer, is one of America's most prolific serial killers. He killed a known number of 48 women and later claimed that he killed twice as many, but that was never proven. He committed these gruesome crimes in Washington during 1982 and 1998. Gary was given the name Green River Killer after his first 5 victims' bodies were found in the Green River. His victims consisted of mostly prostitutes, and he typically strangled them, then dumped their bodies in the forest or an overgrown area in King County. Gary Ridgway lived some very troubled adolescent years. At the age of 14, Ridgway was still a chronic bedwetter, and when his mother found out, she would make him march naked through the house to the bathroom, where she would then bathe him. This led to him having very dark and twisted fantasies about his mother, some involving him murdering her. Gary attempted his first murder at 16 years old. He found a 6-year-old boy and took him to the woods, stabbing him through the ribs and into his liver. Fortunately, the boy survived and remembers the incident to this day. The victim recalls Gary walking away, laughing to himself and saying, "I always wondered what it would be like to kill someone." Gary was divorced several times, and one of his ex-wives claimed that he put her in a chokehold during a heated argument. However, Gary wasn't just a serial killer. He was also a devoted father, according to his son, Matthew Ridgway. Matthew claimed that his father was great to him, always being there for him as a child and never missing a soccer game. Matthew states that his father never really got angry, never yelled at him, or hurt him in any way. Matthew claimed that his father was a perfect dad, or at least tried acting like the ones you see on TV. Matthew unknowingly played a big role in his father's murders. Gary would sometimes show his victims pictures of his son to try relax them before killing them. He would later tell investigators that he had often picked up hitchhiking women, but one time in particular, his son was with him. He picked up a woman with his son, taking her out of the car to commit the murder in the woods. During the murder, Matthew sat in the car, waiting, having no knowledge of what heinous event was taking place. His father simply told him that the girl decided to walk home instead. One time, Gary and Matthew were at a stop while Matthew slept in the car. Gary was 30 feet away, abusing a corpse of a woman he had previously killed. Gary would even take his son to the Green River, where he dumped the first 5 bodies. Matthew states that it was all very shocking. At the beginning, he just thought his dad was simply a suspect because he was, to quote, at the wrong place at the wrong time. He would soon come to find his father was in fact the Green River Killer. Gary Ridgway was sent to life in prison for the murders of 48 women and confessed to over 70 murders overall. He is still alive to this day.